This week, we interview Mike Bellody of MLB Cigar Ventures to talk about their cigar lines, such as the Imperia and much more. Debonair Ideal this week is all about our favorite movie scenes and characters smoking cigars. And in the Stogies of the Week, I review a few new offerings released at the IPCPR trade show, and Will gets jiggy with it. All that and more, so stay tuned. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady, it's the Stogie Geeks Show. Cigar connoisseurs are already raving about this exquisite cigar, which pays homage to Christopher Columbus's discovery of tobacco during his expedition of the New World. This medium to full-bodied cigar shows off the kind of exquisite construction expected by master blender AJ Fernandez. This gorgeous box-pressed cigar features a delicious dark chocolate Nicaraguan wrapper that houses a blend of Ometepe, Condega, and Esteli filler, bound with a jalapa binder. Once lit, the perfectly balanced and refined New World gives off a beautiful billow of smoke and hits you with spice and citrus flavors. As you begin to lose yourself in the rich aromas of the New World, flavors become more complex and begin to express hints of hazelnut and coffee. The New World is a first-time collaboration between AJ Fernandez and his father Ishmael, making this cigar stand out in the AJ Fernandez line. To commemorate the union of father and son, AJ Fernandez is offering you this masterpiece at an MSRP of $6, unheard of for a cigar of this caliber. AJ Fernandez invites you to embark on the journey and smoke what he guarantees to be one of the most talked about cigars of the year. The New World, Cigar Journal's #1 cigar of the year. If you created the Aging Room small batch cigar line, the highest rated boutique cigar brand of our times, what would you do next? Well, if you're Rafael Nodal from Boutique Blend Cigars, you would combine your three most important passions of your life, Cuba, music, and cigars, and create a new classic, La Boheme Cigars. La Boheme is Rafael's take on the golden age of Cuban cigars. La Boheme is a sophisticated blend of extra-aged and hard-to-find tobaccos from the Dominican Republic. A medium-bodied cigar, rich in flavors reminiscent of the island he left 35 years ago in a small boat with his family. Why wait for the embargo to be lifted? Smoke La Boheme today. Blending is in our DNA. Saga Cigars, makers of the Saga Golden Age. The Golden Age is a cigar that takes you back to the classic days of cigar smoking. Through the 6 generations of experience by the Reyes family, the Saga Golden Age delivers a timeless blend that uses the nobility of the tobacco to bring you the perfect balance of power and flavor. It narrates better than words the history of a family's tradition in tobacco, delivering a cigar much like the ones they used to smoke in the times of Hemingway. Saga Golden Age is a full-bodied, full-flavored Dominican Puro. With tobaccos from one farm, the blend features a Corojo 2006 wrapper and filler from original Cuban seeds grown in the Dominican Republic. Available in 4 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Golden Age is sure to please and take you back on a journey to yesteryear. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. That's right, this is episode 152. I'm, of course, your host, Paul Asadorian. I'm joined by some folks in the studio, some of which you may not recognize, and some of which you may recognize. Mike Bellody joins us in studio for our feature interview for the show. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Stogie Santa is in the house.
Good evening, everybody.
Making an appearance. Thanks for joining us, Mark. It's wonderful to have you here.
Absolutely.
On the lines via Skype, Mr. Will Cooper. What's going on, Will?
Hey, greetings, everybody.
You've had a little turmoil this week, so it must feel good to sit back and have a cigar and relax.
Yeah, I definitely do. It's once the show starts and the camera's on, it's all good.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you could tilt your camera down a little bit, Will, while we do that, I will get into it with Mike. Again, welcome to the show. So, now, Mike, how did you get started in the cigar industry?
Well, this is my second cigar company I've been involved with. I started back in around 2010. I was approached by a family who's locally well known, the Tiant family, baseball legend Louis Tiant and his son.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they wanted they approached me to get involved in their company. I did. I ended up owning half the company. And what I'll say about that is partnerships are sinking ships sometimes. So I shut that company down, and I, along the way, getting involved that way, got to know a lot of the retailers, certainly in the Northeast, New England, New York, and several other parts of the country.
Your name sounded familiar. Mark and I were talking before the show. I don't know if we're getting you confused with someone else or if you had visited some of the local shops maybe
absolutely.
as a representative of the Tion brand.
No
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing events all over New England and
Okay.
throughout the country. So once I got that connection to the industry, I got pretty well acquainted with lots of retailers, and so it made sense for me to come out with my own cigar line. So I started MLB Cigar Ventures about 2.5 years ago, and actually only released this cigar in November of last year.
Excellent. Now, tell us about this cigar. This cigar is one you rolled. You said you rolled for yourself.
Yeah, I had it. It's
No,
being,
you didn't personally
yeah,
roll
I
it.
roll everyone individually.
I spent
in
a
my
lot of
living
time
room.
in the factory.
No, so I've been very fortunate. I've been very lucky. My first go around getting in the industry, we worked with My Father Cigar Factory and Jaime and Pepin Garcia. So I learned a lot from those guys. They were very good to us. And on this cigar, I actually chose to work with Manolo Quesada, the Quesada Cigars Factory. So I've worked with two legends, legendary factories, legendary blenders with my product so far. So this one's been made by Quesada. It's a medium plus cigar. Got a very unique flavor profile. I wanted to come out with something that most palates could enjoy, but that offered a bit of uniqueness and a lot of complexity.
Excellent. So do you live here in Rhode Island?
I actually live in Massachusetts, but I also spend a great deal of time during the summers down here in Rhode Island.
Excellent. Well,
In
it's a
fact,
great
the
place
name-
to be in the summer.
The name Imperia is actually comes from my connection to Newport, Rhode Island, where I spent.
That's where you dock your yacht. Is that what you were telling me before the show?
Yeah, I sold the yacht to get into the cigar business.
Yeah.
But the yacht money went to this. No. So I've been spending summers in Newport for a long time, and so I wanted to come out with a name that kind of reflected that, and Newport would have been a tough one to get through the trademark process. So,
Yep.
so I went with Imperia, which is actually the Italian sister city to Newport, Rhode Island.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Where is your favorite place to eat, and then where's your favorite place to smoke in Newport?
Well, smoke is tough.
Smoke is tough in Newport, right?
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. That particular area really cracked down on smoking.
Yeah, there's really no bars. The only place that I know of that you can smoke and have a drink is the rooftop of the Hotel Viking.
Oh, really?
And,
I'm
yeah,
surprised they even let
that's
you
it.
smoke there.
They do.
Okay.
And they actually have events on Wednesday nights there and stuff like that. So.
Oh, nice. I think I've seen some of those advertised.
Yeah. We actually sponsored one of them a couple weeks back.
Okay.
And they were
Do
featuring
they
my
pair it
cigar.
with food too? Is there
They
like
pair it with food
and wine
and
or
liquor.
spirit of some
Spirit
kind?
of some
yeah,
kind,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay, I did see a flyer for that.
Yeah, and as far as eating, there's a lot of great places to eat in Newport. I love Cafe Zelda's, and then there's some of the staples like Black Pearl and the Mooring and
Places that
22
like
Bowen.
you got to book 2 years in advance to get.
Yeah, it's
everything.
not so bad,
It's not
but-
that bad, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You can get it.
I know they book up in the
They
summertime,
do.
especially.
It's tough. It's tough.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So now, when you approached the Quesada family and you wanted to come up with a blend, like what are the different wrapper, binder, filler, or components that you started working with, and how did you come up with the final blend?
Yeah, so there's two ways essentially that I can think of that I would blend a cigar. One is for me to just go to a factory and say, I want you to try to use this wrapper with this binder and this filler, and let's put it together and see how it works. The other way is to say, I want a cigar that has the following flavor profile and let them come to me
With some sample blends.
with
for you
some
to try.
sample
Yeah.
blends. And so I went with the latter with Manolo Quesada, and I said, here's what I'm looking for. They sent me some sample blends. We finally finalized this blend after about 1.5 years of working on it. So we wanted to take our time, make sure it was ready, make sure that it was what I was looking for. And what we ended up with is a cigar that's made from with a high priming Dominican HVA wrapper. HVA stands for Havana Vuelta Arriba. It's a very flavorful wrapper, has a unique flavor profile. It kind of hits you on your palate, hits you pretty strong. The binder is Nicaraguan. The binder is Dominican, and the filler is Nicaraguan and Dominican. So it gives you some spice, but a lot of Dominican sweetness.
Nice. And what sizes is this offered in?
So we're smoking a size that I don't yet offer. I had this made for me. It's called the Fundador, but the retailers have been asking for some time for me to come out with it. So I'm actually going to come out with 10-count boxes of this size soon. It's kind of a double perfecto. But right now on the market, I've got.
Yeah, I did clip both ends to get it lit.
See, I like the end. See, I always light through the end, but that's just my preference.
I clipped off a little bit. That was just me.
It opens up. No, it does. It introduces a cigar to you. It really does.
Yeah.
It just opens
So
up.
you didn't clip your end either?
No.
Stogie saying that?
See, you screwed up.
Yeah, you know what? Don't go by me. Listeners, don't go by me. Okay?
I was going to say that.
So, so it gives it a lot of flavor. It gets some Dominican sweetness, but a little bit of spice as well. And, it's a very unique flavor profile. It's one of the taglines I use in my marketing is, it's a flavor profile unlike any other premium cigar, which I really think holds true.
Now, is it like how big is the company that you created? Is it primarily just you, or do you have?
I've got I've got independent sales reps, and I'm adding to those around the country. I've got a national sales manager, Barry McDonald is his name, and he is helping to build out the sales force for me. And then it's basically myself running the company.
In which geographic are you focused on U.S. first?
Definitely. When I launched this cigar in November of 2014, I purposely exclusively distributed in New England and the Northeast. I hit some New York. I got some Pennsylvania stores involved, but mostly New England. I just wanted to kind of saturate this market as much as I could.
It's interesting. Like a lot of people don't start in the Northeast. Typically, it's Southeast or they start out west. Then they go to Texas, and then they come. Yeah, but it's your backyard.
Well, it's a backyard, but with New England, if you can get it done here, you can get it done anywhere.
No, you're right. And I think that's why a lot of people wait, Mark, is that it's a lot of times it's the toughest market to break into.
It really is.
And why is that, do you think?
I think a lot of the laws in many of the states here are very prohibitive. And so the retailers are sort of limited in what they can bring in. A lot of the retailers have smaller sized humidors. They don't have a lot of shelf space, so that makes it harder to break in.
Yeah.
I always tell people that in order for my cigar to go on someone's shelf, someone's cigar has to come off that shelf.
Yep,
absolutely.
I rarely see a humidor that's got empty shelf space. So to break through that is not easy. And when the humidors are confined to a large degree, and there's certainly some stores, like your store, definitely is not one of those with a small humidor.
Right.
And the New Hampshire stores have huge humidors typically.
But in a lot of those places are grandfathered in, so they'd like to expand, but it's tough for them because they're grandfathered in to allow smoking in their.
Yeah, and I mean the state of Massachusetts, where I'm from, is doing everything they can to get rid of all the cigar stores. So it's
it's sad.
It's sad.
It is sad. Massachusetts did that. It wasn't always like that, but I feel like they're really, really limiting in the cigar market.
Yeah, it's too bad. There's not a lot of. There's only one place in the city of Boston you can actually sit down and smoke and have a cocktail or.
That's
which is
we
crazy.
went there. That's the one on the north end.
Yeah, Stanza de
Stanza.
Cigari.
That's where we went when we were in Boston.
What a shame with a city like that.
It's crazy.
Great city.
And
Great
Stanza
city.
is a shining example of like a really awesome place to smoke. Like it's just so eclectic and
it's an
historic
old speakeasy.
place. Yeah.
It's like an old speakeasy with a lot of antiques in it. It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah. So what markets are you looking to break into next, like geographically? Where
we just before the IPCPR sort of decided we're going to go national. Of course, that takes some time. I mean, it's tough for instance, for me to get an account in Arizona if I don't have a sales rep in Arizona yet. So we're working on all of that.
Yeah.
And so right now we're in about, don't quote me on this, somewhere between 17 and 20 states. Some of those states we have no representative broker in. But we're covering the Southeast from D.C. all the way down to Florida now. And this is all very new, so it's in its infancy in terms of getting national distribution. But so far, so good. Will was able to find my cigar at Burns in Chattanooga. Nice. And, a month ago it wasn't in Chattanooga. So it's
So what are the other sizes that you're offering?
Right, so we have a Corona size, which I call the Pita. It's a 5.5 by 44 ring gauge cigar. We've got a Robusto, which is a 5 by 52. We've got a Toro, which is a 6 by 50, and then we have a Gordo, which is a 6 by 60.
Yeah, so you cover most of the
traditional sizes,
from smaller,
pretty
smaller all the way up to the 60 ring.
Yeah. Exactly.
Some people shy away from the 60 ring, others embrace it.
I don't like them personally. I mean,
and everyone says that. Everyone that blends cigars or is involved with cigars in the industry is like, I don't like the 60, but I made one for the market.
I bet you I haven't smoked more than 5 of my own 60 ring gauge cigars. It's not my size cigar that I like to smoke. So, but there's a market for it.
People
certainly here in Rhode Island. I mean, in Rhode
Really,
Island,
right,
I
Rhode Island
think-
especially, huh?
I think Rhode Island, more than any state in the Northeast, maybe short of New York, and they're probably about equal, really favors the big ring gauge cigars.
In New York, I would think favors the larger ring size because of the value, because taxes are so high in New York. They're like, well, if I'm going to buy a cigar, I'm going to buy
Yeah.
a giant ass cigar because I'm
Yeah.
going to get the most bang for my. And that's not always the case, but I think that's their perception.
I don't think you necessarily get more bang for your buck with
I
the
don't
big
think
ring
so
gauge
either,
cigar. I
but-
mean, more binder and filler doesn't really,
Yeah.
as a percentage of the cigar, doesn't.
It's using more tobacco.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I don't know. It's that's my preference. I know some people love them, some people hate them, but I don't make cigars just for me. So if there's a market for it, I'll make it.
Yeah,
Right. That's what you got to do. You got to
it.
appease the customer.
that's right.
Yep.
Although I have had a lot of 60 rings lately, not a lot. I've had some that really impressed me, and I think if you nail the blend on a 60 ring, you can appeal to a wider audience with it, and
Right.
certainly.
But with
there
the
are
60
some-
ring, with I think the biggest problem that you find, and we'll go back to the Rhode Island store, is that you can't use a lot of high primings because if you do, that price
goes up.
goes up, and that person wants to see. They think they're going to get the price of a Robusto at a 660, and you can't do it if you're using good tobacco like you're using here.
I see.
You know, there's other cigars on the market that are $4 or $5, and that's where the allure comes in for the. And again, this I'm talking in the Rhode Island area, Mass, and New England. They like that. Then when you see that $9 or $10 stick at a 660, they're like they shy. You notice that? Whereas they'll go with a Perfecto, or a Robusto, or something like that. Do that. There's no problem. But 660 it's a tricky road. It really is.
It is.
To put your cigar in a price point to make it work.
Yeah.
Well, because you get up at $10 or more in a 60 ring, me as a consumer, I'm going to be like, well, I'll just buy 2 Robustos for $5 from someone else or around that price point and have 2 cigars.
Yeah, I mean, I did my best to keep these cigars priced in the right and sort of in the sweet spot. So they range from $8 retail up to $9.50ish for the 60 ring gauge. So it with the high priming
Right.
wrapper, that this wrapper's not a cheap wrapper. It's a very expensive wrapper. So I did everything I could to keep the price reasonable, but I wanted to make a high quality cigar that is, as I said, unique.
So now I'm assuming you visited the Quesada factory. What was that like?
You know, you've probably heard a lot of people say that the people in this industry are great. And for the most part, that's absolutely true. And Manolo is just a simply great guy. So he couldn't have been nicer or helped me more than he did. And I would say the same thing, by the way, about Jaime and Don Pepin Garcia. They were very helpful, very good to us with El Tiante. He couldn't have helped me more. I mean, he spent so much personal time with me, talking about the blend, talking about the design of the box, really from soup to nuts. And he's been extremely helpful to me ever since, too. I mean, I was down at Pro Cigar this year, and he kind of blew me away. I went to the Reyes factory, and that tour started at the Reyes factory, then went to Fufi, who's Augusto Reyes' nickname, went to his restaurant, which is also called Saga, which is a great place, by the way. And they had lunch, and they handed out cigars, and Manolo put my cigar in the tray. Now, he didn't have to do that.
Right.
You know, it's not a Quesada cigar. So the afternoon tour was at Quesada, and he was handing out my cigar there as well. So he didn't have to do that. I mean, he could have just handed out his own line. And I thanked him. I mean, I was blown away that he did that. I thought it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you spend some time in the fields as well?
A little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah.
You
Did
know-
you eat the tobacco plants like this
No.
crazy guy right here? He's been.
No, is that what you do?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
starts like
Have a-
eating the plants.
You know what's
and-
funny? I'm trying to think of the guy's name down there. It's Gustavo de Hostos, who works at the Reyes factory. He's a master blender. He was doing at that tour, he was doing a discussion of how he blends tobacco, and he literally takes the tobacco leaf and licks it.
That's
Because his background is from being a wine sommelier, and so he likes to feel it on his palate. And Willie Herrera was there. And Willie stopped him, and he said, "What did you do? What do that again?" And he's like, and then they talked, and it was an interesting conversation. And Willie's like, "That's interesting. That makes a lot of sense."
It does, and I'd like to. And the taste, it's crazy. It's just I like the mouthfeel of what the plants.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
yeah,
licking.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
chewing it. Whatever. To each their own.
Right. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you eat the dirt? Do you eat some of the dirt? I mean, because the soil is important
The
too.
soil is
Yes.
the most important
Yeah. It
thing
is.
of love growing
I
tobacco.
saw pictures like Hercules was posting pictures on Facebook, and he's like, picking up the dirt. He's got it all in his fingers. And
You know
he's
how
sniffing
long
it.
he sat there washing his hands afterwards?
Yeah.
Can you imagine him doing that with Gucci shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those shoes were off.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
the bag.
His pants were all rolled up to his knees.
But it's interesting. Two different growers that you went for. Where Quesada, I love their blends of cigars because they're all medium. His is all about flavor.
It is
not about
yeah,
strength.
Yeah, he doesn't have any
And where-
powerhouses, and he doesn't have anything really light
And
either.
you go
yeah,
with
yeah.
pepin, and
pepper
spicy
and spice,
and everything nice.
Right.
And it's two different,
Very.
very, very different. You know what I mean?
Oh, so I was talking with someone, speaking of the plants and things, I tried to grow some hops, and I was like, I don't know. I was just growing them just for fun, right? Like
You
I'm
weren't
not
smoking them; you were growing them.
Yeah, because they look
I
like
was
something
wondering
you
where
would
he was gonna
smoke.
go with that one.
Yeah. But then someone was asking me like, would you brew your own beer and would you use your own hops? And then they're like, well, what about tobacco? Like, could you grow your own tobacco? And I said, well, a lot of it grows in Connecticut. And everyone was always like, oh my God, I didn't know tobacco grew in Connecticut. I'm like, yeah, like a lot of tobacco grows in Connecticut. And they're like, well, could you grow it in your own backyard? I'm like, yeah, oftentimes like that you can, and people have rolled cigars with it, but they're not very good because there's a whole art and a science to the whole thing, and it comes down to weather conditions and soil and the growing of the crops and the whole botany, the whole thing. And I'm like, you just can't do it on your own. I'm like, hops are the same thing. Grapes are probably the same thing too.
Sure.
There's a guy right near us has the
That's
wine.
been there for 30 years.
So my mother-in-law asked him, like, will you sell me a bottle of wine? He's like, no, I only get like 2 or 3 bottles or whatever from my. He could have been pulling a leg, but he's like, no, I don't
get a little
sell
more
it.
than that.
Yeah, he's like, I don't sell it. I don't give it away. I use it for just my own personal recreational kind of usage. But and so you can grow your own grapes too. But I think a lot of it is left to the experts in that area.
Right, 9 or 10 times people make their own wine. It sucks.
It sucks.
You know what I mean? They
High in alcohol, it'll get you drunk. High in alcohol content.
Do I
usually.
try some of this? I've had that many.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I'll take it home, okay?
Yeah.
And no, how was it? Wonderful, but
Wonderful.
I'm all set.
I want you to enjoy it. You keep it to yourself.
Keep it for yourself.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's
it's definitely the case. I don't know where I was going with that, but I was just.
I don't know. It was
Yeah,
interesting.
okay.
I'm 60. I got those problems. You shouldn't have that already. Oh, man.
Will, do you have any questions for Mike?
Help us out here. We got off the subject
Oh, you
a little
gotta
bit.
just-
Hey,
We
Will,
got way off topic.
See what happens
We're
when I come
talking
back?
about squishing our own grapes with our toes now.
Will, what do your
we're-
neighbors make? in
Yeah,
your
we're
backyard?
out of control. We're out of control.
I look at those eyes tonight. He looks like Monty Feldman. Come on, let's go. Look at that. You got too much stress on
Will,
that face.
Will gets like maybe 2-3 hours of sleep per night. I think
that's
tops.
about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't sleep is overrated. I like to say.
You sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, Mike, you're telling the story about when you asked Manuel Quesada if he came back to me and gave me a cigar with the HVA wrapper. I mean that is one of my favorite wrappers.
I know. Yeah.
Tell folks a little about this wrapper, maybe who don't know a lot about it, because it is a great wrapper.
Yeah, it's just got it's got a very unique flavor profile, and the high priming of the wrapper really adds to that. It makes it a much more, I don't know if pungent's the right word, but it's really much more on your palate. So when you smoke an Imperia, you're gonna taste a flavor that, again, I keep saying it, but it's a very unique flavor profile, and that's mostly due to this wrapper. I was actually surprised he was willing to use this wrapper for me, especially with my first go around with him. But Michael Herklatz happens to be a very good friend of mine, so that kind of helped with my relationship with Manolo.
Yeah.
So it was. I'm very grateful he did it, and I'm working on a new cigar blend right now that this one I'm doing my way. I kind of told him I want to use this wrapper, this binder, this filler, and I asked for a wrapper that it took a little bit of, we'll say, massaging to get that wrapper approved by Manolo. So we're working on it right now, and I'm ecstatic that he's letting me use it. So.
Well, HVA, you got that minerally taste.
Yeah.
For
Sure.
me.
It does have a very unique profile to it.
There's no mistaking it.
It kind of keeps you guessing. Like you just keep smoking, and you're like, I'm just like trying to relate it to something else, but it's very, very unique.
It is,
Yeah.
and that's what I was going for.
And you have to be in today's market. You have to stand out with
Unique,
something different,
great
flavor-wise.
balance.
Yeah, no, it is very
great
well balanced.
balance. And the whole thing is you don't have. It's just the strength level is perfect. That's where it should be.
Yeah, it's about a medium, maybe medium plus.
Solid medium for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
so it's,
whatever. It doesn't make any way how you can label it any way you want. It's just look at this. You guys are still hanging on to yours. This is really good.
It is, yeah.
I smoke
Java.
more of these than you do. So
I'm sure I can imagine. It's probably like your fourth or fifth today, right?
it is.
I can see why.
So, are you planning any line extensions for this one?
Yes.
Different sizes, different.
This one.
You're going to use the same wrapper, right? You're not going to
Everything's
change
going
the
to stay
wrapper.
the same. Yeah. So as I said before, I'm going to release soon. Probably by year end, I'll have 10 count boxes of this double perfecto, which I call the Fundador, because retailers want them. I didn't release this size right away because it would be expensive. And with that price point thing we were just talking about, I wanted to keep everything below $10, and this would not be below $10. So
I gotcha.
But now that everyone wants it, and I say, it's going to be a much more expensive cigar, they still want it, so I'll do 10 count boxes for them. So, but I'm working on a second blend that will be under the Imperia brand as well with Manolo. That one's going to be, if I get it done the way I'm trying to get it done, probably the strongest cigar that Manolo's making.
Really?
Wow.
It's going to be a very full-bodied cigar, but it's going to have a very sweet wrapper on it. So the binder fill is going to give it a lot of kick, and the wrapper is going to give it a lot of sweetness. So it's a very interesting profile. And then I'm working on a third blend that I may do with another manufacturer, but I haven't really figured that out yet. The sort of concept of my company is keeping in line with developing cigars with the legends in the industry, like Pepin and Jaime, and then now Manolo. And if I do a cigar at some point, which I will do, maintaining my relationship with Quesada, but branching out and getting another legend to make it, that's what I'm going to plan on for next, the third line.
That's awesome.
And I expect both of those new blends to be out by next IPCPR.
Will, more questions for Mike?
Yeah, so Mike, I guess an interesting with this company, when you were with Tiant, obviously there was a name with the Tiant, and now you're striking out on your own. And what did you have to change in terms of mindset to go
I
do
see
that?
what he did there, striking out on your
Yeah,
own.
that was very good.
That was very good,
They
Will.
walked right into that.
No pun intended.
Oh, cool. You're good.
I'm sorry, I forgot the question because these guys are making fun of
on a week-in, week-out basis.
All right. Strike three. Come on.
So, in terms of, are you kind of just hitting the road as a one-man show? What is your plan in terms of how you've been bringing this to market right now?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to just focus on New England primarily is being that I don't have a brand name nationally, I wanted to just focus on my backyard with the retailers that know me, that I've gotten to know, that know who I am, and really work with them. So I've been, just before the IPCPR this year, I've really just been focusing exclusively here in New England, a little bit outside of New England in Pennsylvania, New York, et cetera. But almost all of the retailers I have are here in New England. Now that the cigar is getting some notoriety online and with some very nice reviews being written as of late, it makes sense for me to go national. And so it's being received very well. My game plan is to hit the road. Basically, I've got my sales rep in the Southeast. I've got a sales rep in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. We're looking to add a sales rep very soon in Texas. And I was just on the phone with my Southeastern rep before I came into the studio here, and he's lining up several events for me to do in Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida. So that's going to happen in the next few months. I'll be hitting the road and really getting the cigar out and promoting it.
Yeah, Texas is where it's at.
It is. It's unbelievable when I hear
really
everyone
is,
talk about how when they get into Texas, it's a big deal.
And
is.
you got to
Florida's
have
a big
that
deal.
face. Yeah, but with Texas, you got to be there. You can't. See, his rep or whoever. It's important, but he has to see him. And he can say that for almost any state, but Texas is huge.
But I even in my backyard here, I find the retailers that I am able to frequent more often sell a lot more of my cigars.
Right.
It's pretty amazing. Like my rep will go into them regularly, but the ones that I am able to just stop in and say hi to, it's amazing how the sales just pick up, and it's nothing other than they see my face, and they like it, and not they don't like my face, but they like having the presence of the owner of the brand there, and they're more willing to take it out of the humor and say, hey, try this.
Right.
So it's really important that I get out on the road, and that's going to happen a lot more frequently going forward.
Well, I think that's part of the winning formula when you have your own cigar company is to be out there, do events. I think it's still very much a personal, in-person kind of industry that we're in. And everyone that we interview in the show says the same thing. Like, oh, I'm traveling. Hey, you follow all the, friends on Facebook that are, or social media.
Right.
A lot of their posts are, yep, at the airport again. Yep, at the airport again. I just think that's certainly part of it. So
definitely. It's, the poster child for that's really Rocky Patel, I would say.
Yeah, he's here in New England today.
He is. And
I heard he was going to be here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, here's a guy who I remember when I was a cigar smoking customer, as I still am, but had nothing to do with the industry. Here's a guy who really started his brand by going door to door and just saying, hey, my name's Rocky Patel. I would appreciate it if you tried my cigar. No one knew who he was. Well, his presence and his willingness to sort of hit the ground like that brought him to where he is today.
Cool. Will, more questions for Mike?
So, Mike, you're out there at One Cigar, and it's very good. Are you already getting the questions in terms of, hey, what do you got now coming next?
I do.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. And I purposely just wanted to come out with one blend, 4 facings, mostly because it makes the entry into a new retailer a lot easier. If I come out with 12 facings and I say, hey, can you carry all 12? That's just not likely to happen. But if I come out with 4, if they carry, it's a lot easier for them to bring in my entire line, and it just looks better. So I am working, as I said, on a couple new blends. One I haven't even started really with. Yeah, it's just in preliminary discussions. The one I'm working on with Quesada again is one that's pretty far along. So
you're going to keep it to the 4 lines, like a smaller amount of lines in the.
Yeah, I think I'll probably do 4 facings on the next one. I'll keep the Robusto and the Toro and sort of the traditional lines, and then I'll have a Gordo of some kind. It might be maybe it won't be a 6x60. Maybe it'll be a 6x65 or something like that. And then I don't know if I'll do a Corona or I'll do a Pyramid or some different size for that.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking of doing a Lancero. I love Lancero, and they're starting to come back in a big way.
They are, yeah.
And I think when you get a guy like Manolo to blend a cigar for you with the amount of flavor he puts in a cigar, in the smaller ring gauge like a Lancero, I think it would be a really killer cigar.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I got to ask, you spent a lot of time in Newport.
Yes.
Are you a yacht racing fan?
No.
No.
I wouldn't say I'm a yacht racing fan, but I'm always willing to go on anyone's yacht if I get invited. So
there you go.
No, I mean I love boating. I don't have a boat. I don't have time for a boat. But I have lots of friends with boats, which is great.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, they incur the expense, and you sit there and get shit-faced and drink.
I supply cigars and beverages and kick in for some gas. And
What do
then
they
can
say?
deal
There's
with
2 great days in every boat owner's life, right? The day they buy it and the day they sell it.
That's right.
Oh, that's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I'm a yacht racing fan. I love the America's Cup, and I say it's easier just to watch it than to own
It
it.
reminds me. This reminds me of auto racing. Left.
And
I just can't get into it.
I'm a lazy boater. I'm turning a key with a big engine and I'm going somewhere. I don't want to be working sails.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier how we get asked the question about Cuban cigars.
Sure.
Did you get asked that a lot too,
Every
Mike?
day. Every day. How's Cuba opening up going to affect you? And
all the time.
Every day. Every day. He gets it more.
I mean, working in the retail
Mark
store.
gets it.
I just, like I said, sure, no problem. They're coming soon. That's what I just tell them. I don't even say no anymore because they don't. It reminds me of my kids when they were growing up. You tell them, don't do that, and they do it anyway.
Yeah.
And they're not coming out. Why? And when they're going to come out? Why? And they're coming out. When they're coming out next year.
All you can think of is the Seinfeld episode where Cosmo says to Jerry, "You got to bring some Cubans back," and they're actual Cuban people that he's bringing back.
I mean, the whole thing is my question, and what I said, why?
That's what I was going to say.
And I said, why do you need that? You got such great tobacco that's out there, more than you've ever had. I could see if this was 15 years ago. I could really understand it. You got, great Dominican, Nicaraguan. You got it all. Honduran,
Ecuador,
yeah,
everywhere.
San Andreas. You can go on and on. And Costa Rican.
Yeah, you got the weird Peruvian, Costa Rican.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's great
I love that
tobacco.
question. I'll ask them that usually when someone asks me about Cuban, I say, well, why do you ask that? Why are you so interested in Cuban cigars?
Yeah,
And-
why is there that
and
perception still?
they usually don't know.
Right.
They just have heard that Cuban cigars are the greatest.
Oh,
And there are certainly some great Cuban cigars. There's no question.
Right.
But I don't believe the best cigars in the world come from Cuba. I just don't. I've smoked pretty much all of them. And some of them I love, and some of them I hate, and some of them are okay. But you can say that about any
I was going to
country
say,
of origin.
you say the same thing about any other country.
And what a lot of people don't realize is, let's say Cuba completely opens up tomorrow. They don't have enough tobacco to make a difference.
No.
You can't get past the government, let alone the tobacco.
I have to go through so many hoops to get tobacco in here from other parts of the world, and there's plenty of it everywhere else. There's not that much in Cuba. And pretty much when Castro took over, the great cigar blenders and makers in Cuba left and went to Dominican and Nicaragua.
Exactly.
And that's where Pepin went, and that's where Quesada's family went. And
Ernesto.
yeah, all of them. And so I think the one major benefit of Cuba opening up is the fact that if they can cultivate their tobacco properly and at a high rate at some point, I'd love to see what these legends that have left Cuba, like Pepin and Quesada and Ernesto Carrillo, what they would do with their hands on actual real tobacco, blending it with other tobacco and coming up with new blends, because they're not going to have complete Cuban blends in any quantity. It's just not enough tobacco. The other problem Cuba's going to have is all the trademark issues. I think there's been some of that in the news recently.
Yeah, what was are there latest developments on that? I think one of the more interesting
I think
trademark
Cuba
cases.
lost that one. I think
Did they really? They lost to.
I think so. But I mean, if you think about it, all the major Cuban brands have been trademarked here in the United States.
Yep.
I mean, Punch, Romeo and Julieta. I mean, you name it.
Cohiba.
See, look, they can't even
Monte
use Siglo.
Cristo.
Look at Louis Siglo. Alpha
Yeah.
says that.
So now you're going to have
They
these
can't use
cigars, and it's going to be like they got to change the name of it and remarket it. And so, but
That's going to take time. This is a slow
You know what
process.
they're thinking of doing? They're taking all the wrappers off all the cigars in the store and just going Cuban. They wouldn't know the difference. Half of them don't know the
let me
difference.
tell you.
They wouldn't.
I'll tell you, man. Remember the
you're
Manuel
absolutely
put
right.
the
He's right, absolutely.
help me out the Spanish release that he put out.
España.
The
España, yeah.
His Corona was one of my favorite cigars that he ever put out.
Corona and short Robustos were awesome. in
They're
that blend,
awesome.
yeah.
So I had a gentleman in the back, which I kind of respected his palate. And I said, "You've got to try the cigar."
It has a Cuban feel to it. It does,
exactly.
Yeah.
But more importantly, and he smoked the worst cigar I've ever smoked. So I took it really personally because I liked the cigar. The following day, I come back, and I gave him an unbanded cigars. This is one of my personal stash that I got from Cuban, aging for over 4 years. Smoked the cigar. He says, this thing was the best Cuban I ever smoked. Same cigar that I gave him yesterday. Same exact one. So that proved my point. So that's why I just, you know, please, there's too much good.
You need to get someone some Cuban heritage, and you need to take apart the cigars and put them back together, and you hand them to people and say, "This is Cuban rolls."
Do I smoke Cuban? Yeah, but
Yes.
I don't have to. I don't have to rely on that. I don't
No,
have to
I
rely
agree.
on it. There's
It's
too
not-
much
yeah.
out there
Yeah.
for me. That's
You know, as cigar smokers, there's more great cigars out there now than I think ever before. There were at one time in the mid and late 90s a lot more cigar brands out there, but a lot of them weren't smokable. Now you've got a lot of great cigars. It's a great time to be a cigar smoker.
Isn't
and
it?
you don't need Cuba, and you don't need any of that stuff. You can get
I
great
agree.
cigars all over the world.
You know, my theory about when the Cuban cigars do make it, I don't think you're going to see them in your boutique small batch cigar shop. I think you're going to see them in some big shops with big Habanos retailers.
Yeah, and that you're gonna have big problems. I mean, people.
Oh yeah,
I
I think
mean,
that's how you're going to see that
just
happen.
double your price on a Cuban because how many are plugged?
Exactly.
Just
Yeah,
that
oh,
alone.
yeah.
I don't care what the
Well,
Monty.
double your price when the embargo is lifted.
Yeah, exactly.
Then double your
it
price
again.
because you're going to
Right.
get every other
Yeah,
one that's plugged.
Exactly.
Right.
So
stock
You'll
up,
get them.
stock up now.
Plugged. Yeah, you'll get them plugged for sure, Paul.
Oh, I definitely will. I have
he
Paul
gets
syndrome.
it's nothing like it. I'm surprised yours isn't plugged right there.
I was going to say I didn't warn Mike.
No, yeah,
I
it's
was
actually-
going to say, Mike, you shouldn't have done
I
this.
should have doctored up a cigar for him. Apparently you're cursed.
I am.
I could talk about and say, hey, this is a cigar with flawless construction, and it will unravel on Paul. I mean, literally.
Now, see, I was having a pretty good streak lately of not having that problem. Now that we've talked about it, it's going to turn around, and I'm going to have a bunch of plug cigars I smoke tomorrow. Friday's usually the bad day for me to have a lot of plug cigars. I don't know what it is. Every cigar I pick up on Friday.
Friday's my best day. I really
Must
do.
have been rolled
Good
on
news,
Friday.
it's Thursday, so we're all set.
Yeah,
That's right.
Friday's
So
a
I can
good
smoke
day.
another one of your cigars.
We got plenty.
That's it.
Excellent.
But that's,
Mike-
go ahead, Coop.
Yeah, Mike. What else do you smoke? Like, I've talked to some brand owners that they exclusively smoke their own stuff. You exclusively smoke your own stuff, or are there other cigars you smoke?
No, I smoke a lot of cigars. I mean, I smoke mostly my own stuff, partially because it's the best price point I can get, and secondly because when I'm out in public and like doing an event, obviously I smoke my own, and I smoke my own when I'm in public. But if I'm driving in my car, oftentimes I'll pull out a cigar that I haven't had in a while. I like a lot of cigars from Nicaragua, Padron, and a lot of the My Father stuff. I like a lot of the boutique brands like Caldwell, just making some great cigars right now. So I smoke a lot of different cigars, and when I pop into a store and there's an event going on for somebody else, I always buy a box at the event. Sometimes I don't even know what they are, but I just do it because I think it's the right thing to do. So I've smoked some cigars that I had never heard of that are fantastic, and I later find out are made by, say, AJ Fernandez. And so because I research them afterwards, and I'll say that now I know why that's such a great cigar. So I smoke a lot of different cigars, but mostly my own for sure.
And you have to smoke your own because you're your own personal quality control person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Seriously.
But you got to smoke other stuff too.
No,
Because when you go to the blending process, you got to have you have to maintain your palate. I guess. Is what I'm
I
saying.
agree,
Yeah.
but I mean, who knows your own cigar but yourself? And that variation, it can happen.
Sure.
Right? And it can happen. I do that for like 2 or 3 people I really like a whole bunch in this business. I smoke a lot of their cigars for that major reason.
Yeah. That reminds me, I have someone else's cigar I got to smoke, which I didn't get to this week, Will.
Yeah, 3 of them.
Yeah.
You need to smoke them because
I
they're
do.
close to home, I guess.
Oh.
I'm talking too much now.
So, Will, do you have any closing questions for Mike before we move on to the next segment? The next segment's going to be a lot of fun. I really want you both to stick around for the next segment because we're
Is it
going to
about
talk
Cubans?
about. It's not about Cubans. Well,
I can't
first,
wait.
Is it
pumped for
about
that
what
segment.
Will's neighbors grow in their yards?
It is not about
Okay.
Will's neighbors, and it is not about Cubans. So you should definitely stick around.
All right.
I was driving and came up with my 5 when I was driving, and it kind of took my mind off some things today. And it was I can't wait to talk about that segment.
We're going to talk about your favorite scenes in movies or TV that involve cigars.
Okay.
So, but first, I want to ask you the 5 questions, Mike.
Okay.
Were you prepped on the 5 questions?
I was not, but
Okay.
I'm always willing to answer
That's
questions.
good. That's the way we
This is
like
going
it.
to be interesting.
So
I can't wait.
Mike, 3 words to describe yourself.
Old, fat, and slow. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm kind of kidding.
I'm going to go on to the next question
Yeah.
because that was your answer. We're going to
All right,
accept
great.
that as your answer. We don't judge about people's answers. You answer
have
the
an-
question and we move on to the next one. It's totally fine. They're your answers.
All
If
right,
you were
great.
a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice?
Wow, that's who thought that question up?
We stole them from the internet, like
I
everything
was
else.
gonna say. Well,
Not everything, but a lot of things we
Whoever
steal from the
posted that on the internet first should be investigated immediately. But what would be my weapon of choice? I'm a wimp, so I'd probably want to use something that doesn't require me to have hand-to-hand combat, like a gun or something.
There you go. If you were to write a book about yourself, what would the title be?
What would the title be? That's a good one. What would the title of my book be? You'd get different answers if you asked other people, by the way, I'm sure.
Ask other people what your answer to this question would be.
Oh, no. Ask other people what they would call the title to my book.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah.
What would the title to my book be? I would say How to Work Hard and maintain a good family relationship at the same time.
Okay. This next question's much easier.
Great.
It's actually multiple choice, and there's
I love
only
it.
A or B.
All right, great.
And I'll preface this by saying the game's popular in Europe.
That's right. So,
All right, sweet.
in the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby, do you prefer to go first or second?
Am I allowed to ask what the game is?
No, it told you it's multiple choice, Mike.
It's popular in Europe.
It's either first or second. It's very popular in Europe. That's all I
I'll
can
go
say.
second.
Okay. Choose 2 celebrities to be your parents. This is a tougher one. I will give
That
you
is a tough
That
one.
is
Two
tough.
celebrities
The previous
to be
one's
my
easy. Like I
parents.
said, there's only 2 possible answers.
Let's see. My dream as a kid was to be a professional basketball player. So I will have to say I would like to have somebody like a Michael Jordan.
Jordan or LeBron? Which way? Who
Jordan.
would win in a game of one-on-one?
Michael Jordan would kill LeBron
Okay,
James.
thank you. That's where I'm at. That's all right.
I don't even think it would be really close. And for the mother, I would have to go with Cheryl Miller. That way I'm a great basketball player.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much. And you guys are going to stick around.
Yeah.
We're just going to take a
Let's
short
go.
break, come back, and then we're going to do a Debonair Ideal. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Cool.